the placement of Sun in different houses from Saturn is a truly very karmic and also very soul oriented placement, and so it's important that we understand what the dynamics between the Sun and Saturn are all about. Hello, namaskar and adab to all my friends from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan, once more with you from your very own channel Astro Assurance. We have been doing this series of planets from planets. In that series we have completed planets in different houses from Moon. Why Moon? Because Moon is important from a transits perspective, but also important from which dasha you are born in. For instance, whichever nakshatra Moon is placed at the time of your birth, that nakshatra's lord is the dasha which follows first. Secondly, the rashi in which you are, that Moon becomes also your Janma Rashi, and that's why these are important. So we did an entire series of planets, different planets in different houses from the Moon. Then we went on to understanding planets in different houses from Rahu. Why Rahu? Rahu is your karma for this life. Ketu is your extinguished karma. So we have did this entire series of planets in different houses from Rahu. Now we are doing the series of planets in different houses from Saturn. Why Saturn are we doing after Rahu? If Rahu is your karma for this life, then what is Saturn? Rahu and Saturn, as we have said in shlokas, Rahu is like Saturn, is like Shani, whereas Kuja or Mars is like Ketu. So if Rahu and Saturn are alike, they are holding different ends of the karmic spectrum. Rahu is your hunger, your greed, the materialistic karma that you need to do. It's more done for yourself, own greed. However, Saturn is the karma that you do for others. It is the service you do for others. It is the duty that you are bound by. That's why Saturn also rules the 10th house of karma in the Kalpurush Kundli. And Rahu co-rules the sign of Aquarius with Saturn. So they hold different ends of the karmic thread of your duties and responsibilities. So so understanding planets from different houses from Saturn is also important. Now why does Sun's placement in different houses from Saturn become very important? Firstly, what is the relationship between Sun and Saturn? We don't need to really delve into that. We all know what the karmic relationship between them two, father and son, and how this whole story has come about. The second is that Sun is the most interiormost of the solar system, and Saturn, at least from a Vedic point of view, is the outermost. So they hold different spectrums, different ends. However, Sun is about the soul and Saturn is the karma given to the soul. The main karma for the soul is, or the service oriented karma comes from where Saturn represents. So soul has to do karma, and it has to do the righteous karma, the duty bound karma. That's why Saturn and Sun's placement are very, very important. So today we are going to dive into Sun placed in different houses from Saturn. What are the permutations, combinations, how karmic it is, and what does it mean for each of us in our individual horoscopes. Now when Saturn and Sun are in the same house, or Sun is in the first house from Saturn, we have already done this entire series of conjunctions between planets, so please do see that. However, now that we are on the topic, to delve a little bit about how, if the Saturn and Sun conjunction is coming about in your horoscope, or Sun is known to be first from Saturn, then what happens? Now what is Saturn? Saturn is your followership, service, discipline, commitment, loyalty, your dedication, structure, organization, discipline. Sun on the other hand is authority, accountability, leadership, ownership, your pride, your self-respect. So you can't be a leader and follower at the same instance. So Sun being together with Saturn means that you need to be able to play the larger part of being a servant leader, which means in your leadership you should look at serving people rather than trying to take leadership for your own power and authority. The power and authority that you showcase or you want to utilize should be for serving others. It is like a leader or the king or the Raja who is sitting on that throne to serve others, and he looks at others before himself or herself. And that's why it's important that this conjunction also brings the different ends of the spectrum. But this is one of the most duty bound conjunctions, or Sun being placed with Saturn. So this is about you take accountability for your own life, for your own karma, for your own duties. It is a placement where you can't tell, or you find excuses that this was not done to me, this was not, authority was not given to me, this designation was not given to me, this salary was not given to me, this increment was not given to me, this love and affection was not given to me, so I couldn't take ownership for my own actions. I couldn't take the leadership, and action had to be done. So Sun and Saturn together is a karmic placement where Sun is your soul and Saturn is your karma. So soul's karma is placed in the place where Sun and Saturn are placed together. So if you have Sun and Saturn conjunction in any of the houses in your horoscope, know that pertaining to that particular house where Sun and Saturn are placed, your most karmic duties are coming about, but which you do within boundaries, within dedication, commitment, but taking accountability and having a service leadership or a servant oriented leadership rather than something which serves yourself. Now when Sun goes into the second house from Saturn, what is Saturn? It is service, it's discipline, it's commitment, it's loyalty, it's hard work, it's dedication, structure, organization, and all that. Sun is authority, accountability, leadership, ownership, it's your conscience, it is controlling others, it is your ability to shine in front of others, but it is also your pride or self-respect, and it is also your ego. So now when Sun goes into the second house from Saturn, it means that you should take responsibility for your own earning, for your own livelihood, for your own savings, for your own nourishment, as well as the nourishment of others, your dependents. Why others were dependents? Because what is Sun? Sun is leadership, Sun is ownership, Sun is accountability, which means you are responsible for your own earnings, you are responsible for your own livelihood as well as sustenance of others. You can't run away from it, and that duty is given to you because Sun is in the second house from Saturn. So that duty is given to you to take ownership for your own livelihood, for your own accountability, for your own savings. So which means you can't blame society, you can't blame your job, you can't blame your boss, you can't blame environment, you can't blame anybody else, but you have to take accountability. If you're not able to do that, irrespective of all effort that you put in, tough luck, and you cannot cross the boundaries which Saturn denotes. And it's about trying to get sustenance or livelihood more to serve others, serve your dependents, serve your family, and then to serve you. So if Sun goes into the second house from Saturn, not only taking leadership for your own accountability or your own accountability for your earnings, livelihood, what kind of increments that you get, what kind of livelihood you are trying to sustain, but also with integrity, with values, and to be able to take care of dependents. It is also to take the leadership for the nourishment of others and help others also to sustain, and that is the service given to you when Sun goes into the second house from Saturn, of taking accountability and leadership and serving, sustaining others and sustaining you. Now when Sun goes into the third house from Saturn, what is the Sun? Authority, accountability, leadership, ownership, pride, self-respect, ego, controlling others, but it is also a conscience. But what is Saturn? It is service, discipline, commitment, loyalty, hard work, everything connected to serving others, helping others, supporting others, nourishing others. It's about teamwork, it's about stability, it's about rules and regulations, it's about boundaries. So when Sun goes into the third house from Saturn, the work is cut out from you. Now understand that the third house is also about communication and influencing others. However, it is also the house of effort, which means in your effort, or unless you do effort, you will not be able to influence others. If you are trying to influence others, don't try to influence others only through your language or your words or through your communication skills. Influence others through effort. And what denotes effort more than Saturn itself? Saturn is effort, Saturn is hard work, Saturn is dedication, Saturn is organization. What is Sun? Sun is taking accountability and leadership in that action. Sun is about taking pride in serving others. Sun is about putting pride aside, but being humble to be able to serve others, and putting your effort for others, to shine in that effort through helping others, and trying to influence people or working on your communication by taking responsibility but being humble in your communication. So it's about taking accountability for your effort and the actions that follow and the results that you follow. However, being humble in that approach and influencing people with a aim to serve them, with the aim to help them, with the aim to be able to taking care of them, and in the effort also understanding that you cannot cross boundaries, you cannot lie, you cannot cheat, because Saturn denotes that boundary. Saturn denotes rules and regulations, and Sun is about your pride. Sun is all about your self-respect and ego. So in an effort to be able to get more sustenance, to get more results, better results, you need to be more careful of how you are able to influence people, communicate people, and then your efforts will bear better results for you. Now when Sun goes into the 4th house from Saturn, what is the 4th house about? 4th house is about assets, your domestic life, your happiness, your peace, your mother, your heart, your emotions, harmony in your life, empathy in your life, life's conveniences. What is Sun about? It is about authority, accountability, leadership, ownership, taking pride in your achievements, but it is also your conscience. But what is Saturn about? Saturn is about being a follower, being somebody who serves others, discipline, commitment, accountability, loyalty, hard work, organization, structure, career, karma. So when Sun goes into the 4th house from Saturn, it is the zodiac telling you, Shrishti telling you that you take responsibility and accountability for your own assets, and whatever assets that you make or you are trying to attain or you will eventually make, you will have to take accountability for the results that you get. However, in trying to get those assets, the riches, house, car, conveniences, you cannot cross the boundaries. You cannot try to circumvent the process. You cannot cheat. You cannot lie. You have to work within boundaries, and you need to be disciplined in your effort. Only when you are disciplined in your effort over a period of time, while taking accountability, while taking leadership for how you are able to make those tangible assets, then the results will come to you. This is the slow grind built over a period of time. However, it's not only about assets. The 4th house is also the house of your domestic life, your peace, your tranquility, your happiness, your satisfaction, your emotions. So in trying to create a harmony in your life, trying to create the harmony in your domestic life, trying to bring the peace, your job and your responsibility is to take ownership of all of this. So the softer, the mushier aspects of the domestic life, the home, the peace at home, you will have to take accountability, you will have to take the leadership, but you will have to be humble while following rules, while following regulations, while following discipline, and being committed and loyal not only to the family but also to the happiness that you need to bring into the house, to the peace and tranquility that you need to establish at home, and to be able to create in a very structured, disciplined, ownership oriented environment, both building assets and bringing in the peace and harmony and the peace and tranquility and the empathy oriented success in your home. So if you have Sun in the 4th house from Saturn, work is cut out for you. However, be ready for the long grind, and you will see if you are able to combine the servant oriented approach of Saturn but the accountability oriented, the leadership oriented approach of Sun over a period of time. This is one of the very good stable orientation towards getting very good results of the 4th house. Now when Sun goes into the 5th house from Saturn, what is Saturn? Saturn is followership, service, discipline, commitment, loyalty, hard work, structure, organization, your karma, helping others. But what is Sun? It is a different orientation or different energy. It's about leadership rather than servant. It's about ownership rather than being the follower. It's about pride rather than humility. It's about self-respect. It's about ego. It's also about how you're able to use your conscience. So when Sun goes into the 5th house from Saturn, what is the 5th house about? 5th house is your education, your romance, what you like to do, what your interests are. But 5th house is also about upheavals to the career. It is your finance, it is the gains, it is your speculative investment, it is the power, it is about children, it's about public performances. So Sun going into the 5th house from Saturn means the work is cut out for you. That in terms of the results of the 5th house, you will have to have a more ownership. You will have to have the commitment. You will have to have a loyalty towards orientation of the 5th house, which means being very loyal in your relationships, taking responsibility and ownership for relationship not going good, especially the romantic relationship. So if you are starting off your relationship in a romantic way, where you like somebody, you approach that person, you become girlfriend and boyfriend, you have intimacy, that in that relationship you will have to take the responsibility and the lead. But the leading should not be trying to have one-upmanship over somebody or trying to be dictatorial or ruling. However, it is more about serving, leading to serve, leading to protect, leading to be able to help others, leading to support others, leading to be able to ensure that they are taken care of. And only when you do that, then the results of the 5th house will come to you. The romantic relationship will be more stable, which the Saturn promises you. The romantic relationship will also help you to be able to have more intimacy, more love and affection, and you are put on a pedestal by your partner, which Sun represents. And not only about romance, but also in terms of your investments, in terms of your career changes, because the 5th house is the 8th house to the 10th house. So changes in your career will also come when you take responsibility, when you take the lead, but having worked with commitment, authority and servant leadership in your present job. So if you're having a job, hold on to the job for at least a couple of years, be committed, be loyal, serve them, and then try to push for leadership and accountability in terms of designation. And if that doesn't happen, and then you look for change, the change is given to you by the zodiac, you are rewarded, if not in your own organization, but in the others. So change comes to you built over a period of time through stability and taking ownership. Similarly, for in terms of your investments, similarly in terms of your performances, similarly in terms of your how you are able to demonstrate in a media oriented role where you are in the front or you are on the stage, then you get results both in terms of your love, your affection, your romance, your intimacy, children, gains, career changes and all, as long you combine the energies of Sun, ownership, and Saturn, commitment, boundaries and responsibilities. Now when Sun goes into the 6th house from Saturn, what is Saturn? Saturn is service, discipline, commitment. It's also about being focused on societal norms. It's also about distress. It's also about loyalty. It's also about organization. It's also about structure. Sun is about leadership, accountability, ownership, pride, self-respect, authority, your ego, your conscience, the soul. So when Sun goes into the 6th house, which represents service, competition, sicknesses, deaths, loans, court cases, working under somebody, working with a team, taking care of being the leader to people who work right below you, then it's the zodiac is telling you that the work is cut out for you, especially Sun going in the 6th house of servant leadership in a service oriented manner, which means that you need to take accountability and leadership for your team. You need to take leadership and accountability. If you have inimical challenges with somebody, don't put the blame on others. Take responsibility that if you have enemies or people who are not getting along with you, you are also piece of the problem. You have also contributed in some way to the challenge that you have with others. So you need to take the effort or the leadership to make peace with them, or to have good relations with them, or to become a dedicated or a committed or loyal person to the team. So in a servant oriented leadership, then you will be able to take care of all those inimical forces. Saturn is the one of the karakas of the dusthanas, so also for the 6th house. So Sun going into the 6th house, the soul's work is cut out. Saturn is saying that I will protect your pride, I will protect your ego, I will protect your duties. If you are somebody who's also humble, who takes the ownership, who takes the leadership to be a helpful person in your team, and you take the ownership in trying to make peace with people, then Saturn will keep the challenges at bay. Saturn will keep the competition at bay. Saturn will also give you better health. Sun is also your immunity. So Saturn protects your immunity. Otherwise, if you're not somebody who is more dedicated to your health, many times Sun going into the 6th house from Saturn also brings in poor sexual life. Your sexual life also sometimes is on the downside, and many times challenges between a couple also come in because they are not able to bring in enough intimacy in the relationship, because whoever has Sun in the 6th house from Saturn may not be able to give as much as romantic time to the couple. So If Sun is in the 6th house from Saturn, take responsibility of both how you are able to work with team members, how you are able to work with people who work below you, ensuring that you try to make peace with people, harmonize with people, give time to your partner, take care of your health, try and see that you have good immune system, because then overall the good effects of 6th house will come to you. Now when Sun goes into the 7th house from Saturn, what is Saturn? Saturn is about service, discipline, commitment, loyalty, hard work, dedication, structure, organization. What is the Sun about? Sun is about taking leadership, taking ownership, taking pride, taking control and ability to shine when leading people, but it is also your self-respect, it is also your ego. Now what is the 7th house about? 7th house is about your connections, your relationships, teamwork, business, balance, married life. So when Sun goes into the 7th house from Saturn, which means they are in mutual aspect, they are at the other ends of the spectrum. This is a very yin and yang and very balanced energy. So on one side you are asked to take accountability and leadership, but on the other you're also asked to be humble, you're also asked to serve. So many times in your relationship there will be times where you will take the leadership, but there will also be times where you will have to be a follower. You cannot have completely a servant oriented relationship where you give in whatever the other person says you do, or you cannot have a completely authoritative role, which means you need to be balanced in your relationship, in your teamwork, in your partnership, and how you are using those relations to be able to get good results. This is a good placement for those businesses or those partnerships, even your conjugal life, where you are committed for a long period of time. So if you're married and you feel this is the person for me, I'm ready to work on the relationship, I will do whatever is needed to keep the relationship going. Sometimes when I need to be humble, I will take a back seat, I will maybe bite my pride, but there may be times where I have to step in and take the leadership so that the team does well, the team prospers, the partnership prospers. I will do that when I have to do that. So it's a balance, because 7th house itself means balance. And so balancing relationships, balancing connections, balancing team effort, balancing your effort in your team effort while following rules, regulations, conventions, and with discipline. So being disciplined in your conjugal life, being committed, not looking outside of the relationship. If you're committed, if you're loyal, if you're disciplined, and you are following rules and regulations, and you don't allow pride to get the better of you, then the relationship do very well, the partnership do very well, and you shine both in your teamwork, in your marital life, in your business life as well. Now when Sun goes into the 8th house from Saturn, what is Saturn? Saturn is about your service, discipline, commitment, loyalty, hard work, structure, organization, dedication, and so on, your karma also. What is the Sun about? Sun is about authority, accountability, leadership, ownership, pride, self-respect, ego, your conscience, ability to shine. So when Sun goes into the 8th house from Saturn, this is a slightly tricky placement. On one side, the zodiac is telling you, Sun being your soul and about leadership and accountability, it is saying that you will not be able to get authority and leadership easily without facing obstacles, without facing challenges, without facing issues, without facing sudden situations. And you may be able to overcome those issues, those problems, only when you are dedicated, you are committed, and you are disciplined in your effort. If you have put in a lot of hard work, effort, work with structure, work with discipline, then in times of energies, of upheavals, transformations, obstacles, challenges, you will be able to overcome those. And whenever such emergencies come, Saturn is the Karaka of the 8th house. Saturn will help you to be able to overcome and keep your pride, keep your honor, keep your self-respect if you have been dedicated, if you have been committed. And this is also a time where you will find that whenever you face these challenges, only by taking ownership, by being humble, and if you have worked with commitment, you will be able to overcome that challenge easier. And many times this is also placement of government jobs. If it's a good placement, place a good signs, then favors from government, favors from power that be, they helping you, they appreciating you. But if it's in a negative placement where both of them are placed in tough signs, then this is on the flip side, more challenges from authority, less appreciation from authority, less acknowledgement from authority also. So if Sun is in the 8th house from Saturn, your work is cut out. Be ready with discipline, work with a lot of commitment and loyalty, be humble, but take ownership, and then sudden challenges, some sudden issues will also be helped, and the transformation that you have in your life will truly be something which serves you in the long run with stability. Now when Sun goes into the 9th house from Saturn, what is the 9th house about? 9th house is about your higher learning, your qualification, your learning through experiences, your gurus, long distance travel, dealing with people from different cultures, your fate and luck. It is the biggest house of gains. This is also a placement where how much you are able to use your experience, your learning to be able to get gains is put into effect. So when Sun goes into the 9th house from Saturn, this is a very karmic placement. The soul is telling you, which Sun represents, that the more higher learning you are ready to acquire, you are ready to take ownership for, you are ready to take the lead for, then Saturn will also be able to help you, will be able to bring in the stability, will be able to bring in the gains for you if you follow very organized, structured effort. So first, you should have a very organized, structured, disciplined effort in your learning, in your education, in your qualification, in your any credibility oriented certification that you're doing. Secondly, learn from your mistakes. Saturn wants you to be humble, but Sun also wants you to take ownership in those experiences, in those situations. You will learn with humility with Saturn, but you will take the ownership for the challenges that you face and the results that you get. This is also placement that the more respect that you give to mentors, to senior people, you approach them for advice, you approach them for guidance, that much better for you. And because Sun is the soul here getting into the 9th house, this is also in some way the zodiac protecting you, as long as you're ready to learn from experiences and you're humble, but you follow rules, regulations, conventions, and then the highest gains come for you. Now when Sun goes into the 10th house from Saturn, what is the 10th house about? The 10th house is about your work, your career, authority at work, your reputation, your dedication and discipline, what kind of work you're doing, what is your approach to work, how you are working with your higher ups, with the powers that be, what are the expectations of higher ups, and also your growth. So when Sun goes into the 10th house from Saturn, Sun's ability to be able to take accountability, leadership, ownership has to be seen in your work, in your authority at work, how you deal with superiors, how you are able to use your reputation at work through your hard work and commitment and your ownership oriented approach. But it has to be done with the energies of Saturn. Mind you, Sun has gone 10th house from Saturn, which means it is also under the 10th aspect of Saturn. Saturn's strong influence is here, which means Saturn will also bring in the stability for you to be a leader, for you to be able to be stable in a leadership position. Nobody will be able to take the leadership position away from you, the authority away from you, if you have been dedicated, if you have been committed, you have worked hard, and you have worked hard on the grind, and then to be able to deserve it. So this is a placement where authority comes to you, where designation comes to you, where higher power comes to you only when you have put in the hard work, commitment over a period of time. This is also about you need to be able to work closely with authority, with the powers that be, and trying to showcase yourself as a truly humble follower, committed to them, purely very loyal to them. Then the powers that be will remind you or reward you with authority, with gains as well. So if you have Sun in the 10th house from Saturn, a very karmic placement, that stability, leadership, authority, power, growth will all come to you, where you are able to work within the boundaries, where the loyalty, commitment and your ability to work with powers is at the forefront. Now when Sun goes into the 11th house from Saturn, keep in mind that the 11th house also has Aquarius energies, where societal connections, societal norms, societal networks, societal causes are all on the forefront. So the Sun, the soul going into the 11th house from Saturn, which means the work is cut out for you. The zodiac is telling you that the soul's work is to do something back for society, to give back to some social cause, some social responsibility that you need to be able to take. Your wishes and desires will also be served when you are able to help masses for large causes, and when you are able to do that with discipline, commitment, effort, loyalty, which Saturn represents over a period of time, dedicating at least to one cause in life, then you are also able to shine over masses this is a strong placement of also a person who may be getting a lot of authority or power through masses. People who follow you, who like you, maybe in the government, maybe as a politician, maybe as somebody who is a top leader in bureaucracy, where people look up to you. Then you will also be able to get good results. So a truly placement, a strong placement, a karmic placement of giving back to society, shining in society, working for large causes, and truly making a strong dent in challenges, in issues, and being able to shine, bring up some huge give back to society also for some cause, is when Sun goes into the 11th house from Saturn. Now when Sun goes into the 12th house from Saturn, this is one of the most spiritual oriented placements, combining spirituality and karmic placement, but with some losses which may also come to you if you truly don't understand the energy of this placement. On one hand, Sun has gone 12th from Saturn, and Saturn is in the 2nd house from Sun, which means that if you are able to take authority, accountability, leadership for the losses that you will have to sustain or overcome, or to be able to control, then the increments, the money, the gains of the 2nd house which Saturn will come to you built over a period of time. So this is a placement where a lot of hard work over a period of time, being extremely patient, being very stingy with how you are living a life, your lifestyle is. So not being somebody who splurges on the quality of life, but somebody who holds on to money, who makes those investments, who cuts down on the losses, which being somebody who splurges on quality of life represents. So if you are able to do that, if you are able to keep your ego under control, and you are able to not expend your wanting to control people, wanting to outshine people, then Saturn, which is in the 2nd house from the Sun being in the 12th house, will help you shine through getting more gains, through making more savings, through being able to get more sustenance, through being able to make more nourishment, and through being able to help your dependents also. So if you want your savings to grow, your livelihood to be better, your increments to be high, and you want better nourishment, then be able to control your ability to be able to expend money, and also your efforts. The effort should also be in the right direction. The other thing is, you may many times you feel alone, that I don't have any support, there is nobody to help me, there is nobody to be able to come and join forces with me. But this is also about where in a very individual role, you take ownership, you take leadership to be able to give back to society, and in a charitable way, which means any effort that you do, don't think so much about the fruit. This is the placement where it's about you do your karma, don't think so much about the phal or the fruits of your labor, and then the Srishti, the zodiac, will give back to you. So if you have Sun in the 12th house from Saturn, it's truly a karmic placement where you need to be able to balance between how much you are able to take control of not being somebody who is very flamboyant in the expenses, lead a very humble life, be more charitable, work hard, and then see how over a period of time your livelihood, your income, your savings grow, and you are able to do that and nourish others with values, principles, and also being able to hold your head high, and also to be able to keep your pride. So friends, now that we have talked about how Sun in different houses from Saturn will bring you different permutations, combinations, different results, different potentials, see in which house your Sun is placed from your Saturn in your horoscope, what doshas, what yogas are getting involved, because that energy will also play a part in how overall Sun in different places from Saturn is bringing up different results for you, different gains for you, maybe even challenges for you. So friends, like this video, share this video, and if you're looking for a personal consultation from me, please reach out to me, the link given below. Until some other time with some other video, this is your friend astrologer and guide Irfan signing off. Ciao.